Is Buddhism even a religion? Most people assume all religions follow the same formula: a god to worship, a sacred text to follow, a promise of heaven or a warning of hell. But Buddhism, it's different. It has no creator god, no divine commandments, no eternal soul traveling to heaven or hell. In fact, Buddhism doesn't even ask you to believe in anything at all. Instead, it encourages you to question everything, even the teachings of the Buddha himself. That's what makes it so radical. For thousands of years, humans have searched for a higher power, someone or something to give meaning to life. We want to believe that there's a grand plan, a divine force guiding our existence. But what if there is no master plan? What if peace doesn't come from believing in something greater, but from understanding yourself? Buddhism isn't about faith, it's about awakening. It's about seeing through illusions, breaking free from suffering, and experiencing life as it really is. So if you've ever questioned the meaning of life, or wondered if there's more to existence than what you've been told, keep watching, because this might just change the way you see everything. Why we created God, the human fear of uncertainty. Imagine this. You're walking alone down a dark street late at night. Suddenly, you hear footsteps behind you. Your heart starts racing. Who is it? Is someone following you? Your mind immediately assumes the worst because the unknown is terrifying. Now, expand that feeling to life itself. Humans don't just fear the dark. We fear the unknown, the uncertain, the uncontrollable. And so, for thousands of years, we've been asking the same questions. Why am I here? What happens when I die? Who, if anyone, is in control? And when we couldn't find answers, we created them. This is where the idea of God comes from. Not from evidence, but from fear. The fear that life is random. The fear that suffering has no purpose. The fear that when we die, there is nothing. So instead, we tell ourselves a story. There is a plan. Someone is watching over me. Everything happens for a reason. Think about it. When something terrible happens, what's the first thing people say? It's all part of God's plan. This belief isn't based on logic. It's a coping mechanism to make the chaos of life feel manageable. Now, imagine you're on a plane. Everything seems fine, but suddenly, a voice comes over the speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, there's no pilot. Panic. Chaos. People grabbing onto anything for reassurance. But what if someone stood up and said, "Relax. This plane is running on an autopilot system. It doesn't need a pilot." Would you believe them? Probably not. Because the idea of a pilotless plane is terrifying, just like the idea of a godless universe. Even if things seem to be working fine, we need to believe someone is in control. This is exactly how belief in God works. The world is complex. The universe is vast. It feels impossible that everything just exists on its own. So we assume there must be a creator, a designer, a higher power. But the truth? We don't believe in God because there's proof. We believe because the alternative is too unsettling. The Buddha realized this over 2,500 years ago. Unlike other religious leaders, he didn't claim to be a prophet. He didn't say he had spoken to God. Instead, he taught something radically different. Humans didn't come from God. We created God, not out of truth, but out of psychological need. But here's the most shocking part. Letting go of God isn't depressing. It's freeing. If there's no higher being controlling your life, that means you are in control. Your happiness isn't in the hands of fate. It's in your hands. You don't have to wait for a divine plan. You get to create your own path. Most people pray for a better life. Buddhism teaches, stop praying. Start acting. That's what makes Buddhism so different. It doesn't tell you to replace one belief with another. It tells you to wake up, to see reality as it is, not as you want it to be. At first, this can be uncomfortable. But when you stop searching for something to hold on to, you realize you never needed it in the first place. Because the truth is, you were never lost. You were free all along. The courage to see reality as it is. The Buddha's challenge. Imagine you're in love. You found someone who makes you feel alive, someone you believe will always be there. But then, one day they leave. Or maybe it's not love. Maybe it's a dream job, a perfect moment, a stage of life where everything feels right. And just like that, it's gone. No matter how hard you try to hold on, everything changes, and it hurts. But why does it hurt? Because deep down, we believe that if we try hard enough, we can make things last. But the Buddha saw through this illusion over 2,500 years ago. He realized that the greatest cause of human suffering is our refusal to accept reality as it is. From the moment we are born, we're taught stories about the world. We're told that if we work hard, we'll succeed. That if we find the right person, we'll be happy forever. That life follows a plan. But what if everything we've been taught is just a story? Buddhism presents a radical idea. Reality doesn't care about our beliefs. The universe is not here to serve us. It doesn't promise stability, fairness, or permanence. And yet, we live as if it does. We attach ourselves to things, relationships, careers, even our own identities, thinking they will always be there. But nothing lasts forever. We don't lose people. We just believe they were ours to keep. We don't suffer because things change. We suffer because we expect them not to. And that's where the real challenge comes in. The Buddha's message wasn't about comfort. It was about courage. The courage to let go of illusions. The courage to see life not as we want it to be, but as it truly is. Most religions tell you what to believe. Buddhism tells you, question everything. The Buddha never said, have faith in me. Instead, he said, do not believe something just because you have heard it. Do not believe in traditions simply because they have been handed down for generations. Do not believe anything because it is spoken by an authority. Only when you have examined it and found it to be true through your own experience, only then should you accept it. How many religious leaders have ever said that? Most belief systems ask for faith. Buddhism asks for courage. The courage to question everything. The courage to accept uncertainty, impermanence, and the fact that nothing is truly in our control. And here's the paradox. The moment we stop resisting reality is the moment we find true freedom. Because the truth is, we were never meant to hold on to anything. The moment you stop clinging, you start living. New gods, same illusions. Why we always worship something. Wake up, check your phone, scroll through notifications. Who liked your post? Who commented? Did that video you posted last night blow up yet? No. Try again. Maybe today. Drink coffee. Get to work. Hustle harder. Check your bank account. Chase the next promotion, the next deal, the next milestone. Keep moving. Keep climbing. Because if you stop, even for a second, you might fall behind. And if you fall behind, you might be forgotten. So you push harder. You sacrifice more. You tell yourself, one day, I'll finally make it. But make it where? People say we don't worship gods anymore. But look around. Worship never disappeared. It just changed form. We used to bow before statues, now we bow before status. We used to pray for salvation, now we pray for success. We used to fear divine judgment, now we fear being irrelevant. Money, fame, hustle culture, validation. We don't call it religion, but it's the same old game, with new rules. We have new gods now, ones that demand our time, our energy, our mental health. And just like before, we believe that if we work hard enough, if we sacrifice enough, we'll be rewarded. More followers, more respect, more money, more happiness, more success, more fulfillment. But hasn't this always been the promise of religion? Hasn't this always been the illusion? And here's the trap. It never ends. You get rich, now you want more. You go viral, now you need to stay relevant. You achieve success, now you're terrified of losing it. The goalpost moves every single time. The Buddha saw this 2,500 years ago. He realized that the problem isn't what we worship, it's that we feel the need to worship it all. He didn't say, stop worshiping money and start worshiping spirituality instead. He said, stop worshiping altogether, because there is nothing outside of you that will ever make you feel whole. Not money, not success, not validation. You are not missing anything. You are not incomplete. But the world will convince you otherwise. Society will keep whispering, just one more step, one more goal, one more achievement. and then you'll finally feel at peace. But you won't, because the chase itself is the problem. So what happens when you stop running? What happens when you stop playing the game? You don't lose. You wake up, and for the first time, you're free. Really free. The truth about desire. Why you're never truly satisfied. You finally get the promotion, the dream car, the perfect relationship, and for a moment, it feels incredible. You made it. You won. But then, something strange happens. The excitement fades. The new car isn't so thrilling anymore. The relationship isn't as exciting as it was in the beginning. The goal you worked so hard for now just feels normal. And before you even realize it, your mind has already moved on to the next thing. This is the cycle of desire, and it never ends. We spend our lives convinced that happiness is just one step away, just one more achievement, one more purchase, one more milestone. But every time we reach what we thought would fulfill us, the feeling slips through our fingers like sand. Psychologists call this the hedonic treadmill. No matter how much we achieve, we always return to the same baseline level of happiness. The money we once dreamed of becomes just another number in our bank account. The relationship that once felt magical starts feeling ordinary. The house that once felt like a dream, now it's just home. And yet, we keep running. The Buddha realized this over 2,500 years ago. He saw that desire is like an itch. No matter how much you scratch, the relief is temporary. Because desire doesn't stop when it's fulfilled, it just transforms into a new desire. You wanted to make 6 figures, now you want 7. You dreamed of buying a house, now you want a bigger one. You couldn't wait to get the latest iPhone. Now it's outdated, and you're waiting for the next model. No matter what you achieve, it never feels like enough. And that's because the problem isn't money, success, or relationships. The problem is the mind itself. Your brain is wired to want more. It convinces you that happiness is always just one more step away. But it never is. Because happiness isn't in the next goal, the next paycheck, or the next achievement. It's in the space between desires. When you finally stop chasing, the Buddha didn't say, eliminate all desires. That's impossible. Instead, he taught a radical shift in mindset. The next time you crave something, pause. Observe how your mind is tricking you into believing you need it. Recognize that satisfaction is temporary. No matter how much you get, it will never feel like enough. That's not failure, it's just how the mind works. And instead of always looking ahead, start appreciating what's already here. Because the truth is, happiness isn't something you achieve, it's something you realize when you stop running. The self is an illusion. What you think you are doesn't exist. Take a moment and try to find yourself. Not your body, not your name, not your job, not your personality. You. The thing that makes you you. Where is it? Most people assume they have a fixed identity, a core self that defines who they are. But here's the mind-blowing truth. That self you think you are, it doesn't exist. Think about it. The person you were 5 years ago, do you still think the same way? Do you have the same habits? The same fears? The same dreams? No. So which version of you is the real you? The one from 5 years ago, or the one today? Here's the crazy part. Your body replaces its cells constantly. Most of the cells you have right now weren't even here 7 years ago. Your brain is rewiring itself every day. Your thoughts shift, your emotions change, your beliefs evolve. So what exactly is the you? That stays the same. The answer? Nothing. The Buddha saw this over 2,500 years ago. He realized that the idea of a permanent, unchanging self is just an illusion. It feels real, but when you look closely, there's nothing solid there. And now, modern neuroscience is proving exactly what he taught. Your brain is like a movie playing on a screen. Thoughts come and go. Feelings rise and fade. But just like a movie, there's no actual self behind it all. Just a stream of changing experiences. And yet, we cling to this illusion. We define ourselves by labels. Our profession, our past, our beliefs, because it makes us feel safe. But this attachment to a fixed identity is what causes suffering. We fear change because we think it threatens who we are. We take things personally, as if there's a solid self being attacked. We struggle with life's unpredictability because we believe in a version of ourselves that must stay in control. But here's the liberating truth. When you stop clinging to a fixed identity, you stop suffering. When you realize that you are not your thoughts, not your emotions, not your past, you become free. Free to change, free to evolve, free to experience life without the weight of who you think you're supposed to be. So let's try something right now. Close your eyes for just a moment. Imagine watching your thoughts like passing clouds. The memories, the opinions, the stories you tell yourself about who you are. Now ask yourself, who is watching all of this? That awareness, the thing that's noticing everything, but isn't attached to anything, that is what's real. And it doesn't need a name. It doesn't need a label. It doesn't need to be somebody. Because the moment you stop holding on to a self, you become limitless. Buddhism, a science of the mind, not a religion. What if I told you that Buddhism has more in common with neuroscience than it does with religion? Most people picture Buddhism as monks in orange robes, chanting in temples filled with incense, practicing ancient rituals. They assume it's just another belief system, another set of religious rules. But that's not what Buddhism is about. It's not about worship. It's not about faith. It's about understanding your own mind. Most religions ask for faith. They tell you to believe in a God, follow commandments, pray for salvation, and accept things without question. But Buddhism? It's not asking you to believe anything. It's asking you to test it for yourself. Think about it. What does a scientist do? They observe reality, experiment, gather results, and adjust their understanding based on evidence. That's exactly what the Buddha did over 2,500 years ago. He wasn't a prophet. He didn't claim divine knowledge. He was more like a psychologist, a philosopher, a researcher of the human mind. And now, modern science is proving what he discovered thousands of years ago. Take meditation. For centuries, Buddhist monks claimed that sitting in silence and watching the mind could bring clarity and reduce suffering. For the longest time, the West ignored it. But today, Harvard, Stanford, and MIT have conducted studies proving that meditation literally changes the structure of the brain. It reduces stress, strengthens focus, and even rewires neural pathways, something ancient Buddhists understood without MRI scans. Or consider impermanence, the idea that everything is constantly changing. The Buddha taught that suffering comes from clinging to things that are meant to pass. Modern neuroscience confirms that the human brain is constantly adapting. Your memories? They change every time you recall them. Your body? It's entirely different at the cellular level than it was 7 years ago. Nothing is permanent, yet we suffer because we refuse to accept that. Even the concept of no self, the radical idea that there is no fixed you, is now backed by modern psychology. Neuroscientists have found that the sense of self is just a mental construct, a collection of shifting thoughts and perceptions. There is no solid I holding everything together, just an ever-changing stream of experience. But the real power of Buddhism isn't in its philosophy, it's in its practice. You don't have to believe in karma, reincarnation, or ancient scriptures. You don't need rituals or prayers. All you need to do is observe your own mind. Try it. Sit still for a few moments and just watch your thoughts. See how they rise and fall, how emotions appear and disappear, how your mind jumps from one thing to the next. Now ask yourself, who is watching all of this? That awareness, the thing that notices your thoughts but isn't attached to them. That is what Buddhism teaches you to tap into. This is why Buddhism isn't about faith, it's about experience. It's not about believing in something out there. It's about looking within. It's not about following rules. It's about understanding your own mind and breaking free from suffering. So maybe Buddhism isn't really a religion at all. Maybe it's something far more powerful, a roadmap to freedom, a manual for the mind, a science of the self. And the only way to understand it is to test it for yourself. Escaping the illusion, how to live with true freedom. You wake up. First thought, what do I need to do today? Emails, meetings, bills, deadlines. You check your phone. Notifications, messages, scrolling. Someone just got a promotion. Someone else bought a house. Another person is on vacation in Greece. And suddenly, you feel it. That quiet, nagging voice in the back of your head. I need to do more. I need to be more. So you push harder. You chase success. You build your future. But the finish line keeps moving. You achieve one goal, and suddenly, there's another. You tell yourself I'll be happy when, but when never comes. This is the illusion. The Buddha saw it 2,500 years ago. The trap that keeps us stuck, chasing happiness but never finding it. We think we need more money, more status, more validation, but the truth is, we don't need more. We need to wake up. So, how do you escape? First, let go of control. Most of life isn't in your hands. People will change. Situations will shift. You can't force life to go the way you want. And the more you try, the more you suffer. But when you let go, peace. Second, stop chasing happiness. The next promotion, the next relationship, the next big moment. None of it will give you what you're looking for. Because happiness isn't something you find. It's what's left when you stop running. And third, see through the illusion of self. You are not your thoughts. You are not your past. You are not the image you project to the world. The moment you realize this, you stop taking life so seriously. You stop getting caught up in every little drama. And suddenly, you're free. This is what the Buddha meant by enlightenment. It's not magic. It's not reserved for monks and temples. It's simply waking up. So the real question is, are you ready? Because the moment you stop chasing, the moment you stop clinging, the moment you stop believing the story your mind tells you, you're free. And for the first time, you can truly live. Conclusion. The final illusion to let go of. Close your eyes for a second. Take a breath. Right now, in this moment, what are you chasing? More money, more success, a better future, a version of yourself that's finally enough? Now ask yourself this. Who would you be if you stopped chasing? For your entire life, you've been told that happiness is something you find, that freedom is something you earn, that peace is something you reach once. You've done enough. But what if none of that was true? What if everything you've ever wanted has been here all along, hidden underneath the noise, the wanting, the illusion? The Buddha didn't give people something to believe in. He gave them something to wake up from. Now that you see the illusion, you have two choices. You can go back to sleep, back to chasing, back to running, back to the endless loop of desire and dissatisfaction. Or you can wake up. You can let go. You can stop waiting for happiness to come someday and realize it's been here this whole time, in the space between your thoughts, in the quiet awareness behind it all. And if that hits you, even just a little, then take this moment to breathe, to just exist. Because right now, in this exact moment, you are free. If this video gave you a new perspective, let me know in the comments. What's one illusion you're ready to let go of? And if you want more content like this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. It helps this message reach more people, and I'd love to keep exploring these ideas with you. Thank you for watching, and remember, you were never lost. You were just asleep. See you in the next one.